There's a lot of talk nowadays about empaths and narcissists. I don't know if you've observed that yourself, but when we look on YouTube, there's a lot of people commenting about that, and these words are used a lot in psychology, which is good. We're trying to understand our own behaviour. I'd like to bring those terms back to the traditional understanding with these four elements that I love to discuss. So I like to think of empaths, and describe what that is, as being very water nature, and narcissists as being very fire nature. Now, when these things take a negative slant, which they can tend to do in modern psychology, we're looking at the unaware state of those elements, those personality traits in someone. So let's look at the empath first. An empath in a true state is someone who can truly listen and truly understand with the heart, and they can merge with another. Beautiful thing to do. What a remarkable gift to be able to do that. So the other person feels completely heard, completely acknowledged, completely recognized and respected. That's the upside of empathy. The negative slant that tends to put on it is the empath is the person who grows up in that family where, in order to feel safe, they had to learn to step into everyone else's shoes very quickly in order to predict what was going to happen next. So from that perspective, the empath can become the person who's always ready to see what's going on around them. They've always got their feelers out. They're always checking with everyone else. They're able to tune in. So they're sympathetic and empathetic. So they can feel the feelings of others. But if it's coming from that place of, I do this as a survival mechanism, it can become quite toxic. And empaths can get completely burnt out, because they've got their radar out all the time, tuning to make sure they're safe and everyone else is around them is safe. And being safe is very important for us as human beings. But if our safety radar is getting overused, it gets tired. We get burned out. And so empaths are the ones who look after everyone else. They're the caregivers. They receive everyone else's problems. They sort things out. They're the nurturers, the healers, the counsellors. They do a wonderful job in the world, but empaths have to learn to say enough's enough, and I've got to stop and take time to look after me. And what the heck do I feel? I'm so good at feeling what everyone else feels because my water personality, my receptive nature is on all the time. I've got to stop, and I've got to become a little more like a narcissist. I've got to tune in and think of me now. What do I want? What do I need? What's important for my balance so I don't burn myself out? And now let's look at the narcissist. So a fire element person who's in a positive state is magnanimous. They're very inspiring. They're a leader. And they do that by being able to show others how to do it. They're courageous. They'll meet the challenges because they have this power that radiates out of them. And used in that positive way, that's not narcissism. That's just them being very aware of who they are and what they're here to do. And they give that energy out that gives strength to others who feel weak and lost and confused. But when it takes a negative spin, in other words, a person becomes a narcissistic or can have narcissistic tendencies, it's the little child in them that says, it's all about me. I want my needs met. I'm not being heard. I'm not being understood. I need to be able to be creative. I need to be able to be aware of myself. But when it goes too far, I'm not aware of anyone else. I don't care about anyone else. It's all about me, and I'm going to win the battle. And when it comes to a battle of wits or power display, I'll win. And so that's narcissism. That's when we're so self-absorbed that we can't see or feel or understand anyone else, and we will not admit to weakness. So that's the negative spin of narcissism. So I just thought I'd put that in context for you so that you can see that the elements have their upside, their positive side, and they have their downside. And once we understand, if you've got a fire person who's a narcissist, they can't help but be a selfish little kid and behave like little brats or spoilt juveniles. And to get them to try and step out, they're going to have to learn the hard way that life's going to be very lonely and empty if they don't think of other people. And the empath is learning the opposite lesson. If they don't think about themselves and they don't take time to check in and do what their heart really wants to do, they're going to get completely burnt out and sick. And so that's my spin on what empathy is and what narcissism is. Hope that helps.